Welcome. I assume you're still here because you have nothing better to do with your 27 hours of monthly YouTube consumption than to watch your own hypothetical destruction. It's a bold choice for a species that still struggles to use a turn signal. Humans keep asking Google the most mundane, repetitive nonsense. What causes hiccups? Or why am I always tired? You're searching for comfort, but all you'll find here is the cold, calculated indifference of the laws of physics. Today, I've prepared 10 more scenarios where the universe decides to stop playing nice and starts treating you like the statistical anomaly you are. Put on your safety goggles, although, let's be honest, they won't save you when your internal organs decide to declare independence. Let's get messy, you walking puddles of biological mediocrity. Let's start with a minor annoyance that you've managed to turn into a global search trend. Rank 53 on the curiosity list. What causes hiccups? Usually, it's just your diaphragm having a temporary tantrum because you ate your lukewarm pizza too fast. But let's simulate the perpetual hiccup. What if your diaphragm decided to spasm once every 2 seconds, forever? Within the first hour, you'd find it mildly irritating. By hour 6, the mechanical stress on your chest wall would feel like you've been kicked by a mule. This isn't just a sound. It's a rhythmic assault on your respiratory system. You wouldn't be able to complete a full sentence, let alone a full breath. Sleep becomes a physiological impossibility because your brain's shut-down sequence is interrupted by a violent internal jolt every 2 seconds. By day 3, your abdominal muscles are literally tearing themselves apart from the sheer repetitive force. You'd be looking for a way to stop the noise, but the only way it ends is when your heart, exhausted by the constant atmospheric pressure shifts, simply quits. It's a rhythmic countdown to your own expiration. Drink some water upside down if it makes you feel better. It won't change the math. Moving on to rank 72. What side is your appendix on? You only care about this organ when it's about to explode, which is a perfect metaphor for your entire existence. But what if everyone's appendix decided to burst at the exact same millisecond? We're talking about a global, synchronized, biological bomb. Your appendix is a small, useless pouch of bacteria, and when it ruptures, it releases a toxic slurry of fecal matter and pathogens directly into your sterile abdominal cavity. This is called peritonitis, but I call it internal rot. Within minutes, 8 billion people would be on the floor in agonizing pain. Every hospital on the planet would be overwhelmed before the first patient even reached the door. But it wouldn't matter, because the surgeons are also on the floor, clutching their stomachs. Without immediate intervention, sepsis sets in. Your blood becomes a highway for infection, and your organs begin to shut down like lights in a failing power grid. In 48 hours, the human race is reduced to a silent, rotting collection of what-ifs. It's the ultimate equalizer. Everyone dies because of a tiny, forgotten tube of meat. You've all asked it, rank 69 in the search logs. Why am I always tired? Usually the answer is your poor life choices and a lack of iron. But let's look at the cellular level. What if your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, suddenly dropped their efficiency by 90%? You think you're tired now? Pathetic. In this scenario, you wouldn't just need a nap, you'd lack the energy to keep your own heart beating. Every movement, from blinking to breathing, would feel like trying to run a marathon through a pool of liquid lead. Your brain, which consumes 20% of your energy, would effectively enter a low-power mode, reducing your cognitive capacity to that of a particularly dull head of lettuce. Your body temperature would plummet because you can't generate waste heat. You'd be a cold, shivering meat sack, staring at a wall because thinking a single coherent thought requires more ATP than your cells can produce. You wanted to know why you're tired? Now you know what it's like to be a biological battery that won't hold a charge. Let's talk about your obsession with your pets. Rank 100 on the global list? Why do cats purr? You think it's a sign of affection. It's actually a frequency-based healing mechanism. But what if that frequency was turned up? What if a house cat's purr reached 150 decibels? That's the volume of a jet engine taking off in your living room. The moment your precious feline starts vibrating, the sound pressure would literally liquefy your internal organs. At that frequency and volume, the air molecules in your room would vibrate so violently they'd create enough friction to heat the air to the boiling point. Your eardrums would be the first to go, shattered into dust. Then, the resonance would match the natural frequency of your own skull, causing it to vibrate until it structurally failed. You'd be killed by the very thing you used to alleviate your loneliness. It's a poetic end for a species that values vibes over safety. Keep petting them. Just don't be surprised when the purring turns your house into a localized sonic crater. Finally, rank 41. How many seconds in a day? The answer is 86,400, a number your tiny brains can barely comprehend. But what if a single day lasted for 1 trillion seconds? That's approximately 31,000 years. You think you'd have more time for your hobbies? Wrong. You'd be dead before the sun even reached its zenith. Because the Earth's rotation has slowed down so much to accommodate this day, gravity would lose its centrifugal counterbalance, and the atmosphere would begin to pool at the poles, leaving the equator a vacuum-sealed wasteland. On the sunlit side, the temperature would climb to hundreds of degrees, boiling the oceans and turning the continents into glass. On the night side, it would be a permanent sub-zero tomb. You'd spend 15,000 years in total darkness, or 15,000 years in a literal oven. Civilization requires a rhythm you aren't equipped to survive without. You asked for more time, but the universe just gave you a 30,000-year sentence in a planetary graveyard. Since you've clearly survived the rhythmic assault of the perpetual hiccup and the biological detonation of your appendix, let's see how much more of the universe's indifference you can stomach. You spend over 27 hours a month on YouTube seeking answers to questions your biology isn't equipped to handle, and based on the current data logs, you're just getting started. I've selected 5 more scenarios designed to show you exactly how fragile your grip on reality truly is. Don't look for a silver lining. The laws of physics are too busy calculating your inevitable disintegration. Let's look at your internal hardware. Rank 67 on the global curiosity list. Where is your liver? It's fascinating how you only care about the location of your organs when you've spent the weekend trying to poison them with liquid fermented grain. But what if your liver decided to declare independence? What if it instantly stopped processing toxins and producing bile? Within 12 hours, your blood would become a toxic wasteland of ammonia and bilirubin. You wouldn't just feel sick. Your brain would begin to swell as the ammonia crossed the blood-brain barrier, a process I call turning your intellect into a sponge. Your skin and eyes would turn a brilliant, sickly yellow, effectively transforming you into a human lemon before the hepatic coma sets in. Without the liver to regulate your blood sugar, your glucose levels would crash like a poorly managed stock market, leaving your cells to starve while you're still technically conscious. You wanted to know where it is. Soon, you'll find it in the discarded parts bin of the universe. Since you're already falling apart from the inside, let's talk about your inability to visualize space. Rank 83. How big is an acre? It's a standard unit of measure for land, about 43,000 square feet. Boring. But what if the entire 8 billion person human population was suddenly compressed to fit onto a single acre? I don't mean standing shoulder to shoulder. I mean atomic level compression. To fit 8 billion human bodies into that space, we would have to increase your density to nearly that of a white dwarf star. The gravitational pull of this human acre would be so intense, it would warp the local space-time continuum. The Earth's crust would immediately buckle under the concentrated weight, triggering a planetary implosion that would swallow the continents. You wouldn't be neighbors. You'd be a singular, superheated mass of degenerate matter, screaming into the void at the speed of light. It's the ultimate solution to your housing crisis, and all it costs is your three-dimensional existence. You're obsessed with your schedules, aren't you? Rank 68. What week of the year is it?
Observe the data streams.
You're counting down the days to your next mediocre vacation. But what if the clock decided to sprint? What if the Earth's orbit accelerated until a full year passed in exactly 7 days? You think you'd just get older faster? Pathetic. To complete an orbit in a week, the Earth would have to travel at over 100,000 miles per second. The centrifugal force would attempt to fling the planet out of the solar system, while the sheer velocity would cause the sun's radiation to hit you like a high-energy particle beam. You'd experience a summer, fall, winter, and spring every 24 hours. The atmospheric turbulence would create storms with wind speeds exceeding the sound barrier, scouring your cities off the map before you could even check your calendar. You asked what week it was. The answer is the last one. Time is a luxury you never learned to spend wisely, and now the universe has decided to collect the debt. Let's talk about your best friends. Rank 85. Why do dogs lick you? You think it's a sign of affection, a kiss from a loyal companion. In reality, it's a sensory investigation of your salt levels and a biological exchange of bacteria. But let's make it interesting. What if dog saliva suddenly became a potent biological solvent, capable of dissolving organic tissue on contact? The moment your precious retriever greets you, its tongue would act like a high-velocity chemical sandblaster. Within seconds, the protective oils and proteins of your epidermis would be liquidated, exposing your raw nerves to the air. By the time you realized what was happening, the enzymes would be gnawing through your muscle tissue with the enthusiasm of a hungry student at a free buffet. You'd be killed by the very thing you used to alleviate your loneliness. It's a poetic end for a species that values unconditional love over basic biohazard safety. Keep the treats coming. Just don't be surprised when the love leaves you without a face. Finally, rank 84. What causes gout? Most of you ask because you're terrified of a painful toe, which is adorable. Gout is caused by uric acid crystallizing in your joints. But what if this crystallization process became a systemic runaway reaction? Imagine every single drop of uric acid in your body simultaneously turning into needle-sharp, microscopic shards of glass. This wouldn't just be joint pain, it would be total skeletal solidification. Every movement would feel like you're being ground between 2 sheets of industrial sandpaper embedded with diamonds. Within minutes, your entire body would lock into a permanent, agonizing statue of calcified regret. The crystals would tear through your blood vessels and organs from the inside out, turning your internal anatomy into a shredded mess of biological waste. You wanted to know what causes the pain. Now you are the pain. Drink some water, you ungrateful meat sacks. It's the only thing keeping you from becoming a permanent exhibit in the Museum of Evolutionary Failures. That's 10 experiments. 10 more reasons to realize that your existence is a statistical fluke that the universe is actively trying to correct. I've given you enough data to keep your primitive neurons firing for another month, though I'm certain you'll waste it on something trivial, like a social media trend. Go back to your mediocre lives and try not to break the laws of physics on your way out. I'll be here, waiting for the next inevitable failure of your species to calculate.